Yo, what's good, boss econ fam? It's your favorite economic hitman here, slicing through the BS of global finance like a hot knife through overpriced butter. If you're an everyday hustler watching your 401k roller coaster or a Wall Street wolf crunching derivatives for breakfast, buckle up. Today, we're diving into President Trump's latest masterclass in How to Screw Your Own Economy 101. Picture this, the Don's back in the White House, fresh off an AI summit in Pittsburgh, and he's dropping tariff bombs like they're confetti at a MAGA rally. Tariffs on drugs? Check. Chips? Double check. Copper? Why not? And oh, he's got reciprocal rates kicking in August 1st, because nothing says America first like jacking up prices on your grandma's meds and your kid's iPhone. But hold up, this ain't just another Trump tweetstorm. This is a full-on economic dumpster fire, reflecting deeper issues from supply chain chaos to inflation nightmares. We'll break it down point by point, from the nitty-gritty of these tariffs to the big-picture global meltdown they could trigger. And yeah, I'll roast it all with satire sharper than a hedge fund manager's bonus clawback. Let's get into it, because if we don't laugh at this madness, we'll cry. Or worse, pay more at the pump. Alright, let's zoom in on the spark that lit this fuse. Trump tells reporters on July 15, 2025, right after schmoozing AI bigwigs in Pittsburgh, that he's slapping tariffs on pharmaceuticals by month's end. Starts low, gives drug giants a year to build in the US, then cranks it to very high. Semiconductors. Similar timeline, less complicated. Oh, and don't forget the 50% whopper on copper from earlier in July, plus potential 200% hikes on drugs after that grace period. He's invoking Section 232 of the 1962 Trade Expansion Act, claiming foreign imports threaten national security. National security? From aspirin and microchips? Come on, Don, last I checked, the biggest threat to American security is our ballooning healthcare costs, not some imported ibuprofen. Satire alert, this is like a doctor prescribing leeches for a headache, then charging you extra for the bloodletting. Trump's basically saying, hey, Big Pharma, move your factories back home or pay up. But here's the rub, companies like Eli Lilly, Merck, and Pfizer crank out tons of drugs overseas. Tariffs hit, prices skyrocket, and who foots the bill? You, the consumer. A 2025 study from the Peterson Institute for International Economics estimates that a 10-20% tariff on pharma imports could hike U.S. drug prices by 15-25% within a year, adding $50-100 to the average household's annual med bill. Remember the 2018 trade war? Trump's steel tariffs jacked up EpiPen costs by 10%, per Kaiser Family Foundation data. Now amplify that to 200%. Genius move, right? It's like taxing your own citizens to protect them from affordable meds. And semis? Trump's eyeing levies on chips, which would nail not just raw silicon but gadgets from Apple and Samsung. The US imports 90% of its advanced chips from Taiwan and South Korea, fueling everything from your smartphone to EVs. A low tariff starting at 10%. That could inflate iPhone prices by $100-200 overnight, per Bloomberg's July 2025 analysis. We've seen this movie before, post-2022 chip shortages already drove up laptop costs 20%. Trump's plan? Pour gasoline on the fire. Immediate economic issue, supply disruptions and inflation spikes in key sectors. Data backs it, the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics reported a 4.2% CPI jump in Q2 2025, partly from lingering trade tensions. Tariffs are taxes, folks, disguised as patriotism. Okay, zoom out a bit. This isn't isolated, it's Trump's reciprocal tariff blitz, hitting August 1st, 2025. He's sending unilateral letters to trading partners, dictating rates like a mob boss collecting protection money. Example, he cut Indonesia's rate from 32% to 19% after they promised $15 billion in U.S. energy buys, $4.5 billion in AG products, and 50 Boeing jets. Sounds like a deal. More like extortion with a bow. Trump's predicting 2 or 3 packs before D-Day, eyeing India, while slapping 10% plus on smaller countries. EU gets 30%, and he's trash-talking Japan for not opening up. Satirical spin, Trump's playing trade deal or no deal, but instead of briefcases, it's economies on the line. I'm very happy with the letters, he says. Yeah, and I'm happy with my tax bill, said no one ever. This reflects a deeper issue, the resurgence of protectionism in a hyper-globalized world. From point to surface, full-blown trade wars that erode global supply chains. Remember 2018-2019? Trump's China tariffs cost U.S. consumers $51 billion annually, with retaliation hitting soy farmers hard. Exports dropped 74% to China, per USDA data. Fast forward to 2025, with the CHIPS and Science Act pumping $52 billion into domestic semis, Trump's adding tariffs could supercharge that, or backfire spectacularly. Latest data. The World Trade Organization's 2025 mid-year report warns that escalating tariffs could shave 1.52% off global GDP by 2026, with the US losing 0.8% due to higher import costs. Example, South Korea, which Trump calls willing to open, exports $80 billion in goods to the US annually. Retaliate with tariffs on US beef or cars. Boom, American exporters bleed. And don't get me started on his secondary tariffs threat on Russian partners if no Ukraine ceasefire. Experts say this risks spiking U.S. energy prices 10–15%, echoing the 2022 oil shock when Brent crude hit $130 per barrel post-invasion. Trump dismisses it, the whole thing is going to go away. Sure, like my student loans. Now, let's go full surface level apocalypse. These tariffs masquerade as national security under Section 232, same playbook as 2018 steel duties. But it's a thin veil for economic nationalism that's more about votes than volts. Broader issue, weaponizing trade policy amid geopolitical tensions. With AI booming, semis are the new oil. Tariffs on chips. That's poking China and Taiwan, where TSMC produces 92% of advanced nodes. One wrong move, and we're back to 2021-style shortages, which delayed $210 billion in auto production globally. Inflation. The elephant in the room. Tariffs fuel it by raising input costs. Copper tariffs alone could add 5–10% to construction prices, per a 2025 National Association of Home Builders study, amid already high 7% U.S. housing inflation. Tie this to the Fed's struggles, after hiking rates to 5.5% in 2023–24 to tame post-COVID inflation, any tariff-induced spike could force more hikes, tanking stocks. Pros, you know this, S&P 500 dipped 3% on tariff news July 16, 2025. For everyday folks, your grocery bill's up 25% since 2020, and these tariffs could pile on. Global ripple. Trump's alienating allies, EU meetings this week. Tense. India's in talks, but retaliation risks. They slapped back in 2019 with 25% duties on US almonds, costing exporters $300 million. And smaller countries getting 10% plus. That's bullying the Davids while Goliaths like China laugh. IMF's 2025 World Economic Outlook projects emerging markets losing 2.5% growth from trade fragmentation. Example, Indonesia's deal boosts US exports short-term, but long-term. It distorts markets, per a 2025 Brookings study showing such pacts increase volatility by 15%. Phew, boss econ fam, we started with Trump's pharma chip copper cocktail and surfaced to a global economic hangover. Core viewpoint, these tariffs might juice domestic jobs, but the risks, consumer pain, retaliation, inflation, are a policy clown show. Data screams it, past tariffs added $80 billion in U.S. household costs, with minimal manufacturing gains. Convincing? Hell yeah, it's not theory, it's history repeating. Satirical closer, Trump's like that uncle at Thanksgiving who fixes the economy by burning the turkey. It'll be great, believe me. Sure, Don, right after pigs fly on those Boeing jets. If you're a finance pro, hedge against this mess with diversified portfolios. Everyday watchers. Vote with your wallet, demand smarter policy. Hit like, subscribe, and drop comments, tariffs, yay or nay. Until next time, stay boss, stay woke, and remember, in economics, the house always wins, unless the boss is playing poker with tariffs. Peace.